Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on three. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Fresh Hell Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. Today, we are talking to Jen Hatmaker. She is a best-selling author, award-winning podcaster, speaker, and fierce advocate for women living in freedom and agency. With 14 books, her podcast For the Love, the Jen Hatmaker Book Club, and more, Jen reaches millions with her signature mix of humor, vulnerability, and wisdom. Today, we'll be talking about her latest instant New York Times bestseller, Awake, a coming-of-middle-age story about losing what you thought defined you and discovering who you really are. Welcome, Jen.
Thanks for having me, girls. Glad to see you.
So, Jen, Awake opens with one of the most shattering moments imaginable. I'm hoping you'll tell us a little bit about that moment.
Yeah. I mean, we just went ahead and went for the jugular right there in sentence number 1, the opening scene. And by the way, the whole book, as you know, is written in scenes. It's not chapters. It's not like long commentary on the issues. It's just little moments and memories all strung together to build a story that I'm trusting the reader to find. So the first scene was July 11th, 2020. It's 2:30 a.m. in the morning, and I'm in bed. I'm asleep, and I wake up. And I'm hearing my husband at the time voice texting his girlfriend in our bed. And it was clear that those words were not meant for me. There's a lot more to that, but that was essentially the dividing line in my story. There was a before July 11th, and then there was an after July 11th. And a lot of women have a date.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a marriage date, but it's like, this is the date I got this health diagnosis. Or like, this is the date this happened in my family or with one of my kids. And it's just like this marker that goes, everything is different from here forward.
Right. The line divides. We're going to start going in a new direction. Exactly.
Before and after. Yep.
And after that moment, which starts the book, you then go back and, as you say, scenes that are from all different parts of your life that talk about the before, everything that led up to the before and everything that made you maybe particularly unprepared for what was to happen next. Everything you had learned had not taught you what to do when this happened because this wasn't supposed to happen.
That's right.
So can we talk a little bit about the different things in your life that led you to this moment?
Yes, we had been married for 26 years. And so we had followed a prescribed template to get a happy life. So I assumed I was going to get one. We had put in the right ingredients and stirred the soup pot and done all the right things.
Follow the rules.
We followed the rules. I mean, I certainly did. Let me separate us out here. I was following the rules.
Fair point.
And that was a combination of intersections that I lived in, that I was raised in. I was raised kind of in a traditional conservative religious environment. I grew up Southern Baptist for the initiated and still recovering on that, by the way.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. My dad was a pastor. No, my dad was not a normal pastor. My dad was very, very rogue. But I grew up, though, with a dad on a church staff. And then I married literally the first youth pastor that walked in front of my face at college. This is the first one I can get my hands on at 19-year-old bride. He's good enough. He's going to be a minister. And that's my native tongue. I mean, I know that life. I know that world. I know how to succeed. I know what the role of a woman is inside that particular structure. I knew the boundaries, the edges, the ceilings, the walls. And at the time, didn't feel hedged in by any of that. I thought, I'm going to be great at this. I am going to plug right into this format and be awesome. We're going to build this beautiful life. And frankly, we did. We built a life that for so many of its years was beautiful. And we have 5 kids. And I thought we were going to be lifers for sure. So several of those systems started fraying at the edge for me before I lost my marriage. And I started to go, hey, maybe this formula isn't as guaranteed as we were told. And furthermore, even if it is, what if I've got some real internal misalignment with a lot going on inside these spaces? What if I am no longer in alignment here? What if I have all this cognitive dissonance that I'm going to have to sort through? What if I am not comfortable with these gender roles that I once upon a time didn't just sign on for? I was complicit in perpetuating the role. And so that, to your point, there's a lot of things that unraveled, and my marriage was one of them.
I was just talking to Amy before we started. I have an aunt who wrote a book in the 1970s. She passed away this week, which is why we were reading her obituary and talking about it. And she wrote a book in the 1970s called Ever Since Adam and Eve. And it was a celebration of like the role of the housewife and how that was disappearing. And she needed a toe tag because whenever she went to parties, nobody cared about what she was doing. She was the last of this dying breed of women. She had 5 children. 30 years later, she got divorced and she wrote a book called Disregard First Book.
Oh my gosh, wait a minute. That is amazing.
Amazing.
That story deserves to be heard, everybody.
I know. It's its own whole thing. But it resonates. I have another cousin who lost her husband at 40 to cancer. And just so many women, I feel like, have this idea of like, wait a minute, I did everything by the rules. I leaned into these roles. First of all, the role went away. And second of all, my partner in this role didn't fulfill their obligations, either because they left me or they died. And now here I am, broke, alone. And I'm not ready for this because I dialed in real hard on what I was told to do. I feel like so many women listening are like, oh yeah, I have been in that spot.
Most, in my opinion. There's something about our age too. Almost every one of us is on the precipice of something changing. Something is shifting. Sometimes it's catastrophic, like in my case, the torpedo of a marriage, but also our bodies or whatever's going on, our roles in the family, even if it's our family's intact, our kids are like growing up and launching, that feels different. Our careers, I mean, are any of us doing what we were doing in our 20s or 30s? I'm not.
Well, podcast didn't exist.
Definitely not.
Correct. That's right. I mean, what's the internet?
Right.
And so there's so much shift and transition in the middle of life. And so frankly, this conversation is important for almost everyone. I've had a lot of people tell me the book's been out for 1 month today. And I've had so many people say, you know what? I read this, wasn't sure what my on-ramp was going to be here because I'm like happily married or I've never been divorced. I couldn't relate to that. And they were like, my God, that was one little piece of it. There were 1,000 other things in there that I went, oh yeah, this is a midlife reckoning in a lot of categories. And I think tons of us are going through that culturally, physically, relationally, professionally. And to be frank, it's a wonderful reckoning, even though it is highly disruptive. And in some cases, it starts with crisis, as did mine. I mean, I think about who you just mentioned, your family member whose husband died. That's crisis. You didn't see that coming. You did not plan for that, probably not at this age. But here you are. And we've got to sort through what kind of life do I want to build for the second half? And that's a good question.
And I think for young people, it's great to say, raising a daughter, there is no formula through life without pain and metamorphosis. And that, I think, is something that I think the next generation, it's really worthwhile to say there is no way to check boxes in life and ensure that you will be safe from metamorphosis, pain, and change.
Zero. In fact, the opposite is true. You will experience pain, metamorphosis, and change. You just will. You will. That's the price of living a human life. And if you haven't gotten there yet, just live longer. Like it will come for you.
It's coming.
It will come for you.
I wanted to ask you, Jen, about one of the particular things about living a life of faith and the way that you lived it, church people, as you say, that there is this cognitive dissonance. And I've been watching the show Sister Wives for like 20 seasons now. And these are women who are living in polygamy.
Oh, boy.
This is sometimes a Sister Wives podcast. Most
Yeah, exactly.
Podcast.
I see that. This is like a Sister Wives spam podcast.
Exactly.
Good. Thank you.
Stealth
Thank you.
Sister Wives podcast.
Okay.
But this cognitive dissonance, I would see it in these women because they would be trying to explain why polygamy was actually great, and the parts where they felt jealous or horrible about themselves were just God testing them. And if they felt like this wasn't working for them, then they just needed to have more faith because it was supposed to do that. I'm like, wow, that is cognitive dissonance. And you talk about cognitive dissonance in your own life as well. So tell us more about that.
That is so familiar. This sort of route around something that we are struggling with, something where we are out of integrity and we do not know how else to explain it because it may require us to challenge a big system we're in or some sort of context we're embedded in. And let's be fair and honest. Those are hard challenges to make. There's going to be loss baked in, and it's probably going to be your sense of belonging in that particular context, whether it's like small micro context, like a marriage and family, or even a broader context, to your point, like your faith community or your political affiliation or your neighborhood, whatever it is, like that puts you at odds with the culture that's holding those tenets up as good and true and right. And this is how we do it. And we're all in agreement here. This is the way we go. Stepping outside of that is scary and hard. And in a lot of cases, punitive. And we know that. We've watched it happen to so many people. We've watched so many people break ranks.
Right.
And then see the mob come for them or their community go, you're no longer a part of us. We disavow you. I've been there. I've had deeply, deeply been there. It's painful. It's disorienting. It's lonely. And so I can understand the sister wives who go, you know what? This is just God testing me. That in the moment feels easier than saying, I think this is a rigged system and that there is no possible chance I will ever flourish as a woman inside this structure that I have helped build. So I'll just say the problem must be me. I get it.
Right. And the church does too, to be fair, right? If you wonder, then you're weak. You're doubting Thomas. You need more faith.
Sure, of course. Like there's a lot of incentive from the power structures to keep us in lockstep. If women decided collectively to break from all the systems that were not built for us, that were never built for us, where we are kept down and sidelined and subservient, quiet, complicit, those systems would crumble. And so they're kind of counting on us to stay in line. And so I see that with a lot of clarity at this stage in my life where I go, hey, this was invented. And a lot of this was invented to protect men in power, period, full stop. You can apply that to a lot of different spaces, but that's kind of where the buck stops ultimately in a lot of those places. And so I'm opted out. I'm opting out. I'm not following. These rules do not apply to me. I don't think they're real. I don't think they're true. I certainly don't think they're good. And so this is an exciting time for me at 51 to be just a little bit too on the nose, awake to a lot of those places where I had just sort of rocked myself into a slumber in order to protect my belonging and just say, what do I believe? What do I think is true? What do I want? What's my preference? What is my desire? What do I want out of this next part of my life? And I'll tell you, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah. Telling the truth about your life is the first step to having a good life.
It's a doozy.
I also, by the way, super sympathetic to people who struggle to tell the truth about their lives.
So sympathetic.
Nobody wants to wake up in the morning and be like, I think my husband might be a jerk. You know, I think my kid with special needs may never leave home. I think that my kid is off the rails. I think that weird smell coming from his room might be something really bad. Like, I think that
of course,
sometimes when we talk about it, it seems very facile to say, tell the truth and look at your life. And you can't fix it unless you look at it. But I mean, there's a million things in my life right now that I don't want to look at.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at it. I don't have the energy. Sorry, guys.
Let's be frank. It's not glib to say to somebody, tell the truth about your own life, about your own story. It is highly consequential. And so when people are staring down a road of inevitable disruption, if they do so, hello, that was me. That was absolutely me. I mean, I knew for 3 years at large, really 4 years at large, 3 years more concrete, and 2 years in earnest, that something was dreadfully wrong with my marriage. I knew, my body knew. I had every single red flag in the entire world going, waving all the alarm bells. Like, had anybody else, a friend, a beloved, anybody, a stranger, I don't care who, told me, here are my observations right now inside my marriage, I'd be like, sis, you are in trouble. Your dude is in trouble. He is off the rails. Your marriage is in jeopardy. But when it is your own, and when the answers to those questions could sink the whole life that you have built, you somehow find this capacity to excuse it, to explain it, or in my case also to just ignore it. And I just thought, we are in a hard spot. We have been in hard spots before. We will somehow come through this. He is going to get his business together. But instead of like facing it and looking at it and naming it and just going straight at it, I just closed my eyes to it and went, maybe this is going to right itself behind my back without my intervention somehow, which is a fantastic approach to life.
Sounds amazing. Let's go with it.
Very useful tactic. It took me a while to admit it, but I knew, and I just couldn't face what it might mean.
We're talking to Jen Hatmaker. Her new book is called Awake, and we'll be right back.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
Jen, you setting aside your gut, your instinct, your all this was part of the assignment. You talk about this, like being a person of faith, the lying heart narrative. Explain that. Like when you did have these ding, ding, dings, the right thing to do as a person of faith, as you understood it, was to put those things aside. And everybody around you would have agreed with that. So it wasn't like, boy, was I a nut. This was exactly, you were living the life you were told to live.
100% true. And a lot of that was, to your point, embedded in my kind of evangelical culture, which I was raised in, where as girls, and not just as girls, really, let me be fair, all of us were told this, but the girls were singled out in a really unique way. But we were told that we were just simply not trustworthy. Like our bodies were not trustworthy, our instincts, our gut feelings, certainly what we wanted. Want was like the W word. Like you don't get to want. That is outside of your capacity. That is selfish. You can't want something. You can only want what God wants. And people will tell us what that is, right? Don't worry. We'll tell you what God wants for you, but you are not a reliable narrator in your own story. And furthermore, we were also told directly that our bodies were so suspect. Like these are just untrustworthy containers leading us astray, especially the girls, into hysteria and into emotionalism. And if our bodies were giving us a message, that should absolutely raise an eyebrow to go, oh, this is probably something really bad. Now, even if your listeners were not raised kind of in a religious culture that was sort of like that, it doesn't matter. The wider culture has always had a problem with women too. The mainstream culture is like, I don't know, a woman is president? What if she has her period when we've got to like declare war? We know what the world thinks about women. They've been telling us how to look, what to weigh, how to act our whole lives since we were little girls. And so I have so much compassion for women who are trying to claw their way out of that garbage paper bag to make a new deal with our bodies where we're like, guess what? You're not my enemy. You're not the enemy of the world either. You're not all these enemy to all these men and enemy to we are good and wise and trustworthy and reliable, like reversing that internal energy toward my own body and soul is probably going to be the work of the rest of my life. But that's where I'm at right now, making peace, finally.
And expanding on the making peace idea, you have kind of moved from different spaces, from this Southern Baptist childhood into different ideas in the middle of life, shall we say.
Yeah.
It feels like culturally right now, we're in a moment of teams. Like, are you on this team or that team? Do you believe this or that? And if you believe that, you're on the other side of the fence from me because my team believes this and your team believes that, and therefore we are now at war. How do you navigate identity in terms of the journey that you've been on? Does it involve saying, I'm no longer on this team, I'm out of that team, now I'm on new team? How does that work for you in terms of being able to hold different ideas at the same time?
It's tricky. I don't like this binary behavior when other people do it, except when I do it.
I mean, that's the rule of the world. It's only fun when we do it. But also, Jen, you know everything. And if everyone behaved like you did, the world would be great. So that's how
what I'm saying. Like,
yes,
when you do it, you have got a real problem. I'm telling you right now, but
you're small-minded. I'm correct. Right.
Yeah. This is really hard. It's really hard right now. And I just feel like this moment in America is causing so much suffering in American families.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see this everywhere in my own, where all of a sudden we are deeply at odds with the people closest to us, and not in a way that I always hesitate to try to cast a historical lens, because what do I know when I was a little kid about politics? You know, what was my experience of it? But I can say just as an adult for the last 30 years or whatever, this feels like a different moment than it has been.
I think the statistics bear that out.
Where once upon a time, we could hold two things, or this wasn't even 10th place, which all of our teams in the ways that we organized our communities and our relationships. And now it's top tier. This is it. And because I was raised evangelical, which by nature is evangelistic, meaning we were trained to tell everybody else about our deal and why it was right and why they needed to opt into it. Like that is literally baked into the sauce. And so I have grown up with an evangelical zest for convincing other people to think like me. I was trained. And so I have to pay attention, not just as a grown-up, but as a leader, to when my evangelical engine starts purring again, and just fill in the blank on what that is. That can shift and does. What this thing is, I'm mindful of that. I'm mindful of the binaries. I'm mindful of the absolute sort of partisan way to now live an adult life and even have any singular meaningful conversation. I'm mindful of it. When you say identity, it's tricky because I am a person of like deep, deep conviction. I always have been deep. And so what I feel strongly about, I feel strongly about. And I'm not half in. I don't have half an ear to it. I'm not like, maybe give or take. That's not my way. And so I have some really strong impulses. I will say I'm learning how to hold a lot of ideas in a place of respect and dignity, curiosity. And then I have a line where I'm no longer interested in hearing a certain perspective or ideology. And that is when that ideology is deeply harmful to a people group, when it harms their personhood, when it is dehumanizing, when it villainizes an entire group of people. I'm not interested in a respectful conversation around that. And so I have my lines. Everybody knows it. My kids know it. Their friends know it. I'm like, these are the things you don't get to say in my home. So this, and this gets you booted right out the front door. And they're like, got it. And so it's tricky. It's tricky to do both.
I wanted to ask you about antidepressant medication because I thought it was so
hard pivot.
Of course, right. To somebody who's like, just believe in the Lord and you should be saved. That like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to try antidepressant medication. You say, I'm going to quote you, I was 50 feet underwater and refusing the life preserver. Then my gentle doctor touched me on the shoulder and said, you've experienced great trauma. Your body has gone as far as I can. Help your body help you. So tell us a little bit about your journey to that, your experience.
My marriage ended at the beginning of the pandemic. And so we were already suffering. All of us were.
Oof.
We were collectively suffering. And I had two kids in high school. So they finished that year out doing God knows what. And then they started that fall of 2020 on laptops from home. And to be clear, like, on July 11th, the day I found out my husband was having an affair, that was the last day he ever spent the night at the house. So he was immediately out, immediately. So it wasn't like I had a partner and it was gone. I was on my own from July 12th on completely and had all the kids. And I just had no functional co-parent at all. And so I held not just the weight of my own pain and grief, but all the kids who were here, this horrible environment we were all in, of isolation and fear and uncertainty. And then this like disastrous virtual school situation where I'm like involuntary homeschool mom. And all of this was at once. And so I am also having to figure out how to build this life by myself. Divorce is so messy and just peeling it all apart. I say that to say, because my impulse is I'm high capacity. I just always have been. I'm high octane. I am highly productive. I can get a lot done and do. I'm a hard worker. That's much my nature. I was born this way. I was like that as a toddler. So it's not like I'm awesome. It's just like, no, that's just my DNA. And so I kicked into overdrive, absolute overdrive. I started overproducing in a way that like, even as I think about it now, I'm like, what in the world? I mean, just
What was that?
14 hours a day of just nonstop management calls, new accounts, scanning, life insurance. It was just bananas. And so it was adrenaline and it was grief and fear and shock. All that serves a purpose. I mean, there's a
Right.
reason our bodies have those responses to the world. It's to keep us alive. It's to keep us safe from danger. It's to keep us protected. Like there's a place for all of that energy. There is a place. I kept that energy up for a calendar year. And at that point, my body was like, emergency. All the signs were there, by the way. I just was like, nope, don't have time for that. Emergency. At the 1 year mark, I literally felt like I physically fell apart. I think my brain would have kept us going forever until I killed us. But my body was like, I see we're going to have to step in here. And I'm in the ER. I'm catastrophic blood pressure, like pass out, which I'd known. My heart had been hurting for 1 year. Well, I called it my heart. I kept telling my friends my heart is broken because like, it actually hurts. And I'm like, it actually hurts. And I said that little cute line for 1 year. But what that really wasn't, it wasn't a broken heart. It was my poor blood pressure trying so hard to keep us afloat. And panic attacks, all of it. So end up in the ER. And that was my precious doctor, Dr. Amati, that you just quoted, after hours in this emergency clinic. So gentle, just patting me. So sweet. It's a long story, but I came in bad shape. And he was like, it's time. It's time. Let's give your body what it needs. Immediately enter blood pressure meds, enter antidepressants, which was a daily, enter anti-anxiety meds, which is take as needed, which apparently I needed. And I'm telling you, those stabilized me in a way that nothing else could. I could not self-regulate. I couldn't do it. And that gave my body the relief that it needed so that I could finally do this work that was important, this work of recovery, of like emotional resiliency, of unlearning and relearning. And I am just telling you, for people who need prescriptions, and some people that's forever, that's just a brain chemistry issue. That's just going to be a forever helper from now until the end of time. Never miss a day until you're dead. Take them. There's no shame in any of this. For me, it was situational. And so I kept on them until one day I realized I made it. I've made it over that horrid mountain. And I will always be so grateful for those medications that helped me get there.
We're talking to Jen Hatmaker. Her new book is called Awake, and we'll be right back.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
Let's talk about the other side of the mountain a little bit. You say it's tempting to disparage the earlier versions of myself, berate her for not knowing or doing better, but I prefer to be gentle with her instead. She was doing the best she could with what she knew. We all live our lives to a certain degree in performance mode. We do put a lot of value in being perfect in the eyes of our peers. And you certainly had a very public life as wife, and you were known in a very specific role. And I think everybody has that feeling of, what does it mean to leave behind this version of me that people love and respect and value? Do I then have to say, all of that was nonsense, new me knows this? How do you look at your old self and still value her in the way that you talk about in the book?
It's hard. It's weirdly linked to the other question about teams where you're expected to be all this and zero that. It's only this and never that, which really isn't how life works. That's not really true. And if we're really frank, that's not how any of us actually feel. Even if we're like, I'm 100% team this. If you get down into the granular stuff of our lives, you'll find plenty of places where we're not all that, where we have a competing idea or we're out of step with something. I was certainly afraid to tell everybody in my community that we were getting divorced, having spoken at length about, among other things, marriage and family for 15 years in the public eye. And that was a big, not just a big part of my leadership resume, to make that so clinical and sterile, but of my life and my hopes and dreams for my own life. Take leadership out of it. That's what I wanted for my whole life, was to be a long-term, forever marriage home. And so it was really, really scary to say, after talking about this to you guys for all this time, it didn't work out for me. And whatever I've been telling you to build a stable and a good marriage didn't work here. So I worried so much about my credibility. I worried what my community was going to think and say. I worried about how wrong I had been. But what's interesting is a lot of that you just mentioned, all those aversions of, I want this version, I want to present this version, this is what I want people to think about me and how I want to be. So much of that is invented. It's in our brain. That is a construct that we have created, because what I discovered, and there was nowhere for me to hide from the story. I mean, there's no spin here. There's no spin.
You mentioned that your divorce lawyer went to your church.
That's right.
Your ex-husband was his pastor and also believed in all of this firmly. Yeah, that's hard.
Of course. And there's no way for me to be like, because I was blindsided. As I mentioned, I knew something was wrong, but I had no idea how wrong.
Right.
That is not what I thought. And so I went from this one version of me outward facing one day to a completely opposite the next day. It wasn't like a slow erosion. It was just overnight. And so when I finally came to the community and said, I don't know how to help you process this, and I can't even process it, but here's what's happening, and this is what's going on in my family. And I mean, I just was in knots, in absolute terror over it. The kindness, the love and support that I received from my online community, and I was already receiving from my in-person community, but from my online community, was so stunning. I mean, in 15 years of leadership in whatever capacity I have it, which is this sort of virtual, parasocial relationship with this very large community of women, I have never experienced such connection, such alignment. It's like it just stripped away so much. And all the women who came in and said, and I didn't tell anybody what had happened. Until a wake came out, I never even said my husband had an affair. So nobody knew anything. I kept all of that behind the firewall. Nobody knew anything except my marriage is over and I can't tell you more, but I'm sad and we're freaking out. And I'll just never get over the way that the community loved me. And it taught me something that I have been preaching for years, but then I had to eventually put into practice, which is that honesty and authenticity and transparency is a magnet in a good way. It is not a repellent. It does not push people away. Yes, there's always this many people who will be terrible human filth.
Sure. Some people love to delight in other people's pain. I mean, that's talk about baked in the sauce. They're there.
They're there and they will be there. But I mean, that is this much of the pie. And so that fundamentally changed something in me where I went, okay, we can suffer together. We can suffer well together. This is a thing that pulls us together because like we said earlier, pain is part of the deal. Nobody gets away from it. Nobody gets to route around it. And so this has kind of changed the way that I am, not just as a leader, but as a person. I swear to God, I do not have this impulse that I've had my entire life, which is to shine the thing up, just polish it up for public viewing. This has taught me that not only do I not have to do that, it is a much more beautiful and connected life to just live the story out in an honest way, no matter who's watching. And then that saved me from this labor of having to always hold it all together what it was, what it looked like, having to thread that needle, which is exhausting and also fear-based, because what if the breach happens and this doesn't work out? And I'm out of that. There's just the one version now. It's just the one. I prefer this so much. The things that I say now online, the things I admitted in the book, I would have never imagined. God, I'm so free. And I really am grateful for that surprising consequence of my life falling apart.
That's incredible.
We've been talking to Jen Hatmaker about her new book, Awake, a memoir. We'll put the link in the show notes to buy the book. It's available everywhere. Jen, tell our listeners where else they can find you and your work.
JenHatmaker.com. It's my website, and everything is there. Everything I do, everything I've ever done, anything you want to know, dumb pictures, they're all over there.
We loved this conversation, Jen. Thank you for talking to us today.
Delighted to be with you girls. Thanks for having me.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.